Oh, has it started? Oh, wait, no.
Your Comedy Minute. I'm Scotty T. I'm very excited because Colin Christopher is back with me. Colin is a great comedian. He was here 7 months ago. And Colin, thank you so much for coming back.
Oh, no problem. Good to be back.
I'm kind
Yeah.
of surprised you decided to come back.
Oh, I mean, I had fun talking the first time. It's always nice to talk about
Good,
comedy.
good. Well, let's keep rolling. Now, you are all over the place. Since I've met you 7 months ago, are you in Singapore now?
Oh yeah, I'm mainly in Singapore. I
Okay.
just went to Philippines like a couple, like maybe twice
Okay.
since the
Were
last
you
time.
born? Were you born and raised in Singapore?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And if I remember right, you've been to Canada and you flew over the United States, but never really been to the United States.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're gonna get you here one day, I hope. Um,
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
when did you start doing comedy?
Oh, like 2012 in Singapore.
2012. And was there
Yeah.
a catalyst? Was there something that made you decide to start doing comedy?
Oh, I was just 18 and I was really bored, and I always liked I think when I was younger, Seinfeld was on TV. So
Okay.
I kind of that was my first like exposure that stand up exists. I just didn't realize they had it in Singapore, and then when I got really bored in college, because like I started taking a media course, but like it wasn't what I expected. I didn't really enjoy doing it that much because there's a lot of control involved. I got a bit bored, and I found out there were open mic nights in Singapore. And I tried it, and I never looked back.
Okay. Um, are there comedians that inspire, like you mentioned Seinfeld, I have here written down, comedians that inspired you when you were younger, besides watching
Um,
Seinfeld?
I'm not sure if inspired is the right word,
Well,
but
then
like they
there's
were the first.
comedians that you like, Colin. Comedians that you
Oh
like.
yeah, yeah. Because Seinfeld was the first one, and
Okay.
is a good. So it's very valuable as a first comment, but it got me on like a wormhole of like YouTube Chappelle show sketches.
Okay.
Like you get further down to Stanhope, Doug Stanhope, and stuff like that,
Okay.
and
Doug
then
Stanhope. Okay.
you
Another
kind of
comedian.
watch a lot of different comics.
Well, and that brings me to the next question, Colin. Are there comedians now that you like, that you watch, say, on YouTube or perform there in Singapore?
Bill Burr came to Singapore before. I didn't
Bill
manage to
Burr.
watch
Okay.
him, but they do come over quite often. I think recently, do you know Atsuko Okatsuka?
I heard of it. I heard somebody else mentioned it.
Yeah, I saw her special during the pandemic. It was really good. It's called The Intruder. But she came
Okay.
over, and I think she did a show earlier this year and recently another one. So like a lot of comics have been coming over, I think, because they see Singapore as it's almost like the entry to Asia. Like if you've never been to Asia, like
Okay.
Singapore is almost like Asia light. It's like they'll ease
Almost,
you in.
almost like Asia. You have a full special on YouTube called "Hard to Be a Woman."
Oh yeah. I put that
And
out last April.
how I can't help but notice you're not a woman.
Oh yeah. It was just
How
a
did you
line
come up with
about.
the title? How did you come up with the title?
Oh, I mean, a lot of comics have like, well, not a lot, but sometimes comics have a special that is a story, in the title or something.
Okay.
But I didn't really have any narrative to my hour. It
Right.
was just a bunch of material. So I,
Okay.
I went the route of just pick a random line in a bit, and then it has nothing really to do with anything. But it was basically just a callback of I think about there was a bit about kangaroos having three vaginas, and I just have one part of the special where I do a callback to that where I just yell it's hard to be a woman, but it's
Okay.
harder to be a female kangaroo because they have three vaginas. It's much harder.
What?
But yeah,
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, since the
whatever.
first one, which I had a great time, I actually put some clips up from our first one
Oh,
that we did. Um, I didn't know the first time that you actually went to jail at one point.
oh, Oh yeah,
Is that true?
yeah.
Because I went to jail too. I went to jail a
Yeah.
couple times.
Oh, that was true. Yeah, I went to jail once.
I can relate,
I would,
Colin.
yeah, but I would also imagine like I mentioned to people that I feel like jails are like a representation of the country. It's also a cultural thing. Like Singapore's jail is probably super different from like America, especially from TV of what I've seen. Like Singapore jail is a lot more boring and controlled, I guess. It's really just a packed up thing. There's no bed, you're on the ground, you don't get to do anything the whole day. It's almost like they're punishing you with boredom more than anything. You know, it's like a timeout.
Yeah, that's the idea I think of jail. It's supposed to
Oh
be
yeah, but
punishment.
I think that there's times where there's more like reformative where they let you, go to the library a couple of times. But they don't really let you do anything in Singapore jail for a while, especially if
No,
you're on
no,
top.
no. Well, and you talked about some of the experiences you had while you were there.
Yeah, but in like when I do stand up, it's never that much of the actual experience. I always just pick a very small thing and then like try to make a stupid bit up. So it's never really that accurate of the experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
no,
have been
no.
a
Well, Colin, I worked for a guy that used to say he was from Texas. And his favorite line, I remember it to this day, was, "Hey, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story."
oh
So, and the one I was making reference to was about the soap, about dropping the soap.
oh yeah. Because when I was in jail, it was so boring and you're like just there the whole time. I'm just trying to think of bits. That was the only way to keep me like
Okay.
entertained. You know what I mean?
I thought maybe you'd want to tell him how it happened because I can tell you, I mean, I got a DUI and then I
Oh.
had another situation that was I actually was arrested and then they released me right away.
Ah. Well, mine was it was kind of a long story.
If you don't
Maybe
want
I'll
to
sum
talk
it up.
about it, Colin, you don't have to. This is
No,
your
no,
comedy minute,
I
buddy.
can.
You can, Colin,
No,
you
I've
do
told this
whatever you
story
want
many
to
times.
do. You're in
No, don't worry,
charge.
I've told this story, man. I'm just wondering if you want to hear like summed up version or the long version. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
Colin, listen, it is your comedy minute, my friend. And you're
Okay,
back for a second visit. So you even have Whirlpool. You can say, do whatever you want.
okay, cool. I'll do it in between the short
All
and the
right,
long.
yeah,
It's
that
super easy.
sounds
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, basically, my friend did like a really big theater show,
Okay.
and backstage, I started drinking already.
Okay.
I'll just skip the drink, but it was just a long night of drinking, and then I got blackout drunk, and I moved places like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. And when I
Okay.
got blackout drunk, I kind of forgot that I moved houses and went to the old house, which was a condo. And then I kind of like banged on the door a lot. Like I have no memory of this. The only reason I can tell this story is because I had to get a lawyer. And Singapore's police force is so free, right? Everybody, I was one like drunk Asian skinny boy, and they sent three police cars with like five cops with like body camera
Well,
and armor.
well, Colin, you're going into somebody's house. That might alarm. That
But
might.
I mean, like, I'm one guy, like, just. And by the time they came, I wasn't even doing anything. I
I
was,
know, Colin. I know. I
but
know. I'm
so,
with you.
so,
Keep
the only
I
reason
just love your
I know about the
description. You
story
said,
because I was so blacked out, right? It's because my lawyer had to get the body camera footage, and then he walked me through like a second by second playthrough of what happened. And because he asked me if I wanted to watch it, but I'm like, I'm too embarrassed to see myself like do that. What that was, by the way. I still haven't mentioned that yet. I got blackout drunk. Then I was banging on the door to try and get into my old house. This part wasn't on the camera yet, so it wouldn't have been seen because the cops weren't there. But so somebody the people who were staying there, they recognized me because they bought the house and I was there like one time.
right?
But so they actually didn't make a big deal of it. They were just like, oh, this guy's drunk. We'll try not to get him in trouble. But the neighbors like heard the screaming and they called the cops. And by the time the cops came, I I was like passed out on the ground. This was
Yeah.
the footage now. But they asked me a bunch of stuff and I was very compliant. I gave them my wallet, blah blah blah. And the thing was, all the security guards at the condo, they still recognize me. So
Right.
every time I said I live here, the guy will go like, "Oh yeah, he lives here." But then the cops will look at my ID and be like, "He doesn't fucking live here." So everybody got really confused for like a
Right.
long time. So by this point, I think I was handcuffed already. But they kept walking me in and out of the condo, like up and down. So I was just really confused what's going on. And I was asking them for water, but they wouldn't give me water, whatever the fuck, right? But at some point, we went in a car park, and I was just like handcuffed and wobbling drunk. So I went up to one of the cops, and then I went like, what's going on?" But apparently I leaned in too close, and another cop kind of pushed me all the way to the wall. And this was when all shit hit the fan. You know what I mean? Because like
Okay.
I,
Okay. Let's
I was I
let's
was
move on. You know, as you were telling that,
yeah,
as you know, I mean, I just turned 62 and I
yeah,
forget stuff. I smoke a lot of pot. I do a lot. I've been blackout drunk many times.
yeah,
And as you told that story, it reminded me of the time because the minute you said blackout drunk,
yeah,
I remembered, and I guess because, like you said, you were going in the wrong place. I was driving my car and I was blackout drunk. I mean, I should all but blackout drunk. I probably should have passed out. And I was going on 611. I just moved to a new place. And I knew I lived off Route 611. So I was on Route 611, but I was going the wrong way.
yeah.
And I went into a 7-Eleven and I tried to get them to, "Where's Route 611?" And they called the cops. But and the cop, I'm like, "Where's six? You're on 611. Get in the car." He said, "All right, we're going home." I said, "Are we going to your home or my home?" Oh, it was a shit show, Colin. But let's
Oh
move
yeah.
on.
Oh
Let's
wait,
move
well
on.
actually, let me mention the last thing because like I have a couple of friends who are comics and they wanted to come to court to see me get sentenced. So this was after the shit hit, because that was the actual crime. So you could hear the charges and everything like that, right? And the whole time I was telling them like, you don't need to fucking come. I don't want to see people. I don't want people to see me get arrested because I knew I was going to jail. Like my lawyer had prepped me for it already. So, but they were like, "No, we're your friends. We will come," and they just wanted the story. You know, you can fucking tell these comics, right? They wanted to just fucking see what was going on. And I
I'm
told them,
sorry. We got to move on
"Oh
because
no,
I don't
bro.
want to paint that light on you. You got so much funny stuff. You're such a funny
No, no,
comedian.
but this is kind of funny where because I told them when they came into court like don't fucking laugh because I laughed the first time because I didn't know I said this blackout drunk. But when the cops came in my charges, right, which is the same when my friends came to court, this was the first time they were hearing it out because somebody has to say like what you said in this state and all that kind of thing, right? But one of my charges was like, oh, it was verbal assault because I told a cop to don't touch me, you skinny Chinese fucker. And everybody looked at me. I was just like, it was just the most ironic statement to hear from a cop. And I knew they were gonna laugh at that point, and I was just like, stop. I had to warn them about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main thing was I ended up headbutting a cop, I think.
Yeah, Colin, you know, I didn't realize you and I had so much in common. I touched a cop one time.
Yeah.
I just touched him. I just touched him. And he told me if I touched him again, I was going to go to jail. Uh,
Oh.
you're not a fan of vegan meat. Is that
Oh
correct?
yeah, that was just a bit to kind of
Okay.
lead
No,
into.
because I, you know, I feel like we have a bond. I don't
Oh yeah.
eat any vegan stuff. Nothing.
Oh yeah, but I just think the
Oh, you
until
probably are.
vegans.
You probably are a vegan. You're a health nut. That's right.
Oh no, no, I'm not a vegan, but
Okay.
I am trying to get more healthy. But the thing is, unless vegan
I'm
stuff
not.
ever
I'm
gets
not,
like,
Colin. I'm not trying to get
oh,
healthier. I'm drinking and smoking more pot than ever.
oh, I mean, you gotta enjoy life as well. There's a balance, you know what I mean?
Colin, I'm
But
just playing with you. Keep going.
yeah.
All
No, but
right.
with the
So,
vegan stuff, it's just too expensive for the same thing. Unless they can make their meat the same price as meat, I'm just like, why would I fucking give a shit? You know what I mean?
well, do you see the stuff they make in the lab? You
Yeah,
seen that stuff?
and and I think the issue is like you can't eat too much vegan meat because it's too much concentrated plant shit or something like that. There's something about it. I'm not sure the science, but yeah.
You have some radical theories, man. Well, let's shift
I
gears a
feel like
little
I
bit
read this
because
somewhere. It's not even my own theory. Maybe
okay,
it's on Reddit.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, do you have because you've been doing comedy a long time, and I like this question. I don't think I did it last time we were together, and I like it for it's two parts. A favorite show that you've done, and then a least favorite show. The least
Oh,
favorite shows where the meat is. So do your favorite
oh
show
yeah.
first. Favorite show you've done all the time you've been doing comedy. Your favorite
Least
show.
favorite would probably be corporates, right? But favorite show, let me think about it. That'll be a tough one. I've done. I recently went on like a countryside, like Philippines province tour. That was
Okay.
pretty fun. There were some of my few favorite shows just because of the setting. I've never been like one of them was just a fucking wakeboard park where we
Okay.
stayed in the wakeboard park and then we left our rooms and did a gig in front of a fucking giant wakeboarding thing
Okay.
with people rowing little boats behind. I don't know what was happening, but it was kind of interesting and there was a dog, you know what I mean? But I thought
Okay.
the whole gig would be shit. I thought because it was outdoors as a pool, I thought the whole gig would be so fucking horrible. But because the wakeboard park was inside like this housing estate and nobody stayed there, there
Okay.
was no sound outside. There was no so the sound was so clear. Everybody was out there.
Okay.
They were kind of like hippies, you know what I mean? Like just drunk wakeboarders, skateboard people. The
My
crowd
kind of
was just
people.
yeah,
My kind
fucking
of people,
chill.
Colin.
Yeah, there was a dog that came on stage when I was doing a bit, and it was you know what I mean like kind of
Okay.
fun, just a whole loose vibe. But I think maybe that was one of those where the expectations were low and then the delivery was so high that you're like, oh, that was a
Okay.
great fucking gig. I fucking love that gig.
Okay. Now, the least favorite show.
Ah, well, those are definitely corporates, but I rarely get signed up for corporates because of my material. But I did do one where I kind of just had to write a clean set. But in the end, we went to the gig, and it was the Singapore Science Center, and they were like, we want to do comedy, and we have having a fair, that kind of thing, right? But so we're like, okay, this should be fun. Then they paid us like $500 for 10 minutes each. I was like, this is a
Okay.
great gig. But the moment we went there, it wasn't because the science we thought we would be like in an exhibit hall, you know what I mean, like with seats and like almost like a science
Uh-huh.
theater thing. We're in the fucking parking lot outside, so it was like the outside part of the fair, and we weren't even close to like the food stalls in the fair. We
You're right.
were away from them in a dark portion of the car park, like some kind of fucking addition to the fair, you know what I mean?
You know, Colin,
And
hey, let me interrupt you for just a second. I just
okay.
recently did one with someone. It's going to air next week. They set her up in like a Walmart parking lot.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
horrible.
she
Yeah.
said, and the best is, Colin, she said, I didn't relate to them, and they couldn't relate to me.
Oh, I haven't even talked about the
She's
gig
from
yet.
She's from Los Angeles. You know, she's like a she I
Yeah.
don't think she's ever stepped in a Walmart in her life, and they set her up in a Walmart parking lot.
Oh my God. At least I don't know. The audience still sounds better because I haven't finished the rest of the story of how
I'm sorry, go
terrible
ahead.
this audience was.
Go
So
ahead.
we get out there and the signs led us to this dark fucking portion of the car park. It's outdoors, it's windy, and there's just a screen with the show of the name, but the screen is getting blown down by the fucking wind. Just one giant screen. And we look at the audience, and there's nobody who got tickets to the show because it's just a public walk in as you want. The
Okay.
chairs are fucking, how do I say, inflatable, like inflatable plastic sofas that are getting blown away by the wind.
Right.
And it's just a bunch of like parents and their kids who I think they just sat down because they wanted a break from the fair and thought it was like a let's just sit down here spot that
Okay.
people put up. So I don't think anybody was expecting comedy. It was like 70% children. And by the way, I say 70% like it's a big audience. They're fucking like 15 people. So like there were like seven children. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot of children. And then their
Okay.
parents and all that kind of thing. And it was all of us going on, and we're like, why would we even bother doing material? You know what I mean? There's no way anybody's even listening to us. Like, so and also nobody told us it would
Oh
be a
my
kid
gosh.
show. We thought it would be clean, but
Oh
nobody told
my.
us it would mostly be like children around. You know what I mean? Because it's completely different. But so everybody decided like, okay, we're just gonna do crowd work, right? And the, there are comics that do the gigs that you're friends, and there are comics that you're like, I don't know who this is weird or whatever, right?
Right.
But the comic that none of us like knew went up first and fucking crowd worked to all the kids. And then all of us are over there looking at each other like, fucking at least give one kid to us so we can talk to them. We have no crowd work to do. You know what I mean? Like, what are we gonna? So all of us are just like panicking at the side of the stage before we go on. But by the time I go on, I'm basically because I saw everybody go on first as well. I saw how low stakes this gig was. Like nobody cared, right? So I
Right.
ended up just talking to the kid in whatever way, and then one kid wanted to run behind the stage, and I was like, "Go ahead, do what you want." I tried to make it like a part of the game as part of my set. And then the moment he ran backstage, I heard some guy yelling like, "Don't do that! You're gonna get shocked by the wires." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess don't run backstage." You know what I mean? And then I had to just get out.
Kid gets electrocuted on your watch.
Yeah, and during my set, that would be the best set I've
Yeah.
ever had. That would
Something
be my
else that
viral
happened.
clip.
So
That
we're
would be
gonna
my Jim
shift
Jeffries
gears.
getting punched in the face.
Okay. Let's shift gears because something else happened since we 7 months ago when you were here. I saw that you became a single father.
Oh, the crow thing. That's kind of an unfortunate story because
Yeah,
like it's
well,
just
set it up, Collin, because when I saw the Crow Part One, Crow Part Two, you called it, I forget what you called it,
yeah.
but I was just taken back by. I said, "Wow." So set
Oh
it up.
yeah.
Tell people what happened.
Basically,
I mean, I
uh,
here's what I know. Do you want me to?
yeah.
What I know is a
Yeah.
friend gave you a crow.
Oh no, it wasn't even a friend. It was just a
It was
random
just,
old
and it was
man.
small. It was real small.
Yeah, it was like a 2 week old, like
Oh, 2 weeks.
just hatch
Okay.
kind of chick.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I was walking by well, I take a walk every day the same route. But
Hmm.
this old man who lives on the first floor, he said that a bunch of he found like three baby crows because they recently cut the trees around the area. So
Okay.
he kept them, but then he also told me two of them died and he only had one of them left. So I'm like, I don't think this guy is good at taking care of crows. So when he asked me to take the last one, I considered it, like maybe I should give it a try. But I also was just like, I don't know, man. Like this seems like a big deal if I come home to my parents with a crow, and then it'll be like a whole mess, right? But I ended up doing it because he had a cage there, and he just passed me the whole cage. Because my whole excuse to him was like, I'll think about getting a bird cage, and he was like, I'll give you a bird cage. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
fine.
no, you chronicled it. For people that don't know, you chronicled it a little bit on YouTube and I think
Oh
Instagram and
yeah,
stuff. And
there's some
you
short
bought
bits.
the cage, and uh, I'll tell you, finish up because I got to tell you something. I don't think you know.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's a
Because
long
let
story.
me let
Because
me just interject, Colin.
oh yeah,
For people that want to watch and check it out, it starts out and then it's in a cage, and then it was outside. It was in your hair. This
oh
thing's
yeah,
gotten pretty big, and I was like, damn.
because it's been 4 months, but also yeah, I just had to feed it when it was small. Because I was like, there's no way it's gonna survive when it was small with that old
Right,
man and
right.
like on. Because it can't even fly or feed itself. But then at that point, I had to kind of start moving it when it could fly and feed itself. I'll move it downstairs to learn to interact with other crows. Because I can't keep it for in the house. They need a lot of space, and my parents were already getting like get that crow out. So I started bringing it downstairs, and it was surviving pretty well downstairs. But recently this week, like it hasn't been around for the past 2 weeks, and they've been putting up like a lot of bird traps in my area. So I
Awesome.
figured that it probably got caught and
I'm sorry for
recently.
bringing it up, Colin. I
Yeah,
thought it
no
was so
problem.
cool. And
Oh
and
yeah, I mean I really enjoyed my time
no,
with the crows. Just
and I
unfortunate.
guess listen, it's been 7 months, but I liked you first time. I like you again. You make me laugh. But I
Oh,
brought it up because I had a fella on, Boris Bashinoff, that got a little duck. That
Oh,
kind of the same scenario. He got this little duck that kind of fell. He thinks a bird had it in its mouth and dropped it. And he
oh,
raised that duck. He's had that duck for 7 years, 6 or 7 years now.
damn. I
Yeah, you have to
wish.
check it out. It's a really cool story.
Yeah.
And he was on the show. He had the duck on the show and he's feeding little cherry
Oh.
tomatoes. But that's why it touched my heart. Believe it or not, Scotty T has a heart, a drunken, black, stoned heart, but I
Yeah.
have a heart.
Oh, a diabetic heart. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, my friend, you have we're going to wrap it up. We don't have a lot of time left, but you do a thing. I don't
Okay.
know if you're going to keep doing it. The Brave New Jokes. You want to tell
Oh,
people
yeah.
about that? Because that's pretty cool.
Basically, I'm not sure if I mentioned this the last time I was here because I recently the last 7 months ago, it was maybe like 4 months after I did my special. But it was one of the decisions that I did after because I wasn't happy with the special. So
Okay.
I did a bunch of like how to say new habits and stuff, and the Brave New Jokes was a part of the sort of
New special.
resolution or new habits or something, I guess. Because
Okay.
I got a bit I realized before the special I might have been too comfortable with like not writing material. So
Right.
having a new material night both like gave me something to do and also like pressured me to write new material for because I couldn't be the fucking asshole that set up a new material night, told everybody to do new material and just
Right.
never do new material as the
Right.
host. That would be such a bitch move, right? So I set it up in a way that I had to have some pressure on myself to write material for my own show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of my self-motivating thing. But it's kind of fun because people in Singapore they don't heckle. They're all I have whenever I encourage them to heckle, they don't want to heckle. So or
Yeah.
they're very nice about it, you know. So it's usually pretty fun heckling. Everybody is pretty
Okay. I
okay
get
with
it.
it.
I get
Yeah.
it now. I get it. Yeah, because there's some comedians that really don't like heckling. I had one on
Oh,
recently that, man, I think he gets violent. He
I
threatens
think
violence when people heckle him.
but I think in a regular comedy set, like when I'm watching another comic, I don't like hecklers because I want to hear the comic finish the joke. But whenever I'm on stage and I'm doing stuff, I don't mind getting heckled because it's almost like crowd work. Because sometimes
Right.
I'm doing bits and I'm like fucking I've done this like 10 times before. If you yell at me and say fuck you, let me engage. I would rather you know what I mean. I'd rather do something a bit different.
I touched on that last time we were together. The
Oh
last time we were together, I mentioned Brad Goss, who just lives his life. He doesn't care. And you seem to be the same way that you just get up and do it and let the chips fall where they may.
oh yeah. It's a mix between caring and not caring, I guess. I used to like before the special, I used to be a very like, oh, you shouldn't care about all that kind of thing. But now I'm more like, I care about the comedy and the writing. I
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
can't care about the results as much because that's out of my control. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I realize it's like a mixed smash. You know what I mean? Like you
Well,
have
it's
to.
funny, and you shifted, and we're going to wrap it up because you got to do your comedy minute for me.
Okay.
That's something new, but um, we met on Reddit, and it's funny because I still go over to Reddit. I don't. I thank God I don't. You used to. I was so wound up about Reddit, but I went
Yeah.
over and I saw you really have great success in on certain spots on Reddit. What is it, comedy or one of them where you put a bit up, and man, it does fantastic.
Oh, sometimes it does that, but it also
Yeah,
like I guess there's a timing thing. But
yeah.
sometimes I can also tell. Oh wait,
No,
sorry.
I just want to say this to you real quick because this just happened. And I thought I know you're a comedy guy that loves comedy and different things that, we like last time we talked and we could talk for another hour now.
Oh
But
yeah.
I have a joke that I did. And the reason I mentioned it, Collins, because I didn't want to do it. I thought it's just not funny. I mean, I think I had it for 2 or 3 days and I said, it's
Oh
just not funny. And finally, I talked myself into doing it. And I looked this morning on Instagram, it's at like 17,000. There's no
Mm.
rhyme or reason to it. And I'll do it for you
Oh
just
yeah.
because it's so stupid. And there was another one a couple weeks ago. I'll do them both real quick. The first one was I went to a party and everybody was feeling merry. Then Mary got mad and left. That's an old joke I learned back in high school when I was a kid.
Yeah.
This joke, uh, what's the difference between a dog and a cat? One of them is a dog. I, it's so stupid, Collin,
Yeah.
but yet 17,000 on Instagram, and I just
It's,
go,
I feel
it
like
doesn't
it's
make any
never
sense. It
it's
never
never your
makes any
favorite joke.
sense.
You know what I mean? It's always the joke that you're I think the thing is like with comics and people who write jokes is that your favorite joke is always because you hear so many jokes, is
Oh,
always so fucking like convoluted. You know what I mean? Like it'll be a comic's favorite jokes. But
hey, mentioning my funny drinking and drug problem yet? Well, look, we got to get to it. Okay, something new
oh
from
yeah.
last time. Your
Oh,
comedy minute,
this
I
one.
call it. Hang on, let me do a formal introduction. Colin
Okay.
Christopher, your comedy minute. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, so to amp this up, set this up, I guess I've been recently writing a lot of racist material.
Okay.
You know, I'm going back to my roots because it's just a comedy one. But I wrote this bit that I've been having fun with recently, which is it was I've been reading into about China's social credit system, which is
Okay.
pretty interesting. Like I know it existed like for a long time, but I just started getting into it. It was pretty interesting because they have, you know, a lot of they have like, cameras everywhere that can recognize people's faces and
Yeah.
they'll reward people based on
Yep.
like what they do and give them a score, right? I'm like, isn't it crazy that China's technology is so advanced now that they can tell apart, you know, Chinese people? And yeah, you know, because there are 1.4 billion people. There are 1.4 billion people in China. There are three faces. Yeah, there's
Three
a
pieces.
squinty, less squinty, and Elon Musk. And I mentioned, have you guys seen the Chinese Elon Musk on social media? You know the guy that just going like, "Oh, I am Elon Musk. Look at my Tesla." And I tell the crowd that I like to get that bit out early because then I can do other racist material about other races. And then if anybody bitches, I can go like, "Where were you when I said look at my Tesla?" You know, like shut the fuck up.
Oh my God. Colin, you never cease to amaze me. You never cease to amaze me. That was a great bit.
Oh, thanks, man.
I didn't, you know
Yeah.
what? I didn't, Colin. I'm going to have to stop the recording here in a minute because we're running out of time. But at
Okay.
first, I didn't follow you. But I'm a big thing about China and their facial recognition. And you get like, if you cross the street and you're not supposed to, you lose, you can't get on the bus. You lose rights,
Oh
you
yeah.
lose privileges. Pretty wild stuff. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. If it's all right with you, we'll check back in another 7 months and we'll see where you're at, what's going on. Maybe by then you have a
Oh
new
yeah.
special.
Anytime, man. Even sooner if you want. Like it's always fun
Okay.
to talk. Man.
It's
Okay.
always a
See you, man.
pleasure, Colin. Let me stop the recording. We're going to run out of time, okay? I want to talk to you
Okay.
for a minute off the air.
Sure.